What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from ActionMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And today we're going to talk about State of Consciousness. This is currently available on Peacock. It does have audio description and it stars Emile Hirsch. This film was originally, it has a 2022 date on it and it's 2024. And I didn't question that when I was done with the movie. If it had said 2012 and it was just now being released, I would not have questioned it. I wouldn't have wanted to release this film either. I would have had deep problems. First of all, Emile Hirsch is basically the only recognizable star in this film, which makes it really hard to market because Emile Hirsch doesn't have necessarily a film career. This is called Consequences of Not Giving Emile Hirsch the Oscar nomination he deserved for Into the Wild. This is what this is. This is where we are now. Now he's in shitty movies with no cast that make no sense. This is a script that's been touched by like 4 people, and it makes no sense. This is one of the most confounding movies of the year. I hated it. I hate this movie. I think it has really nice audio description though. I'll give it that, which is kind of amazing because this film doesn't really make a lot of sense. So the fact that the audio description narrator is actually trying to make sense of it is hilarious to me. I feel like I recognize the narrator's voice, but I feel like he's trying to do something with his voice to make it sound more serious. I feel like it's somebody that I recognize. Peacock always pushes me out of the title and actually has pushed me out of titles. I need to figure out how to turn off autoplay and I don't know how to do that. But it's actually pushed me out of titles before the movie's over. I've actually lost the last 30 seconds of a film or minute or whatever of a film, and it'll push me into another title. I'm like, the movie wasn't even over. What the so yeah, I barely get any credits and I definitely don't get audio description narration credits. So I don't know who did this, but they did a very nice job. What is this film about? God, that's a great question. Emile Hirsch plays a guy whose mind is consistently breaking with reality throughout the whole film. You can never trust anything that's happening, and that's kind of the point. But at the same time, it gets kind of monotonous, and it gets to the point where it seems like they've lost the thread of why it is that they're doing what they're doing, and where it is that they wanted to go, and what is reality. And by the time you get to the end of the film, you're like, I don't understand this anymore. Where are we? What is happening? How did we get here? It doesn't really care that it doesn't explain. It's like it thinks it's intelligent because it's confusing. It thinks that because it keeps twisting and turning, and it's like being lost in a maze forever, and then you're like, oh man, this is a really good maze. And it's like, you're still in the maze. You're still trapped inside the maze. A great maze will still let you out at some point. You can't just be excited because you're lost in the maze. That doesn't necessarily make for a quality maze. If we have to send care packages to you because, day 42 still lost in the maze. It's is that a great maze? Or did they overdo it? There's something to be said for that, which is you make a maze, but at some point you want people to get out. You don't want to make a maze where people get trapped and die. No one can find the exit. Emergency teams are too afraid to go in. They're like, I can't get them out. I don't want to. I have children. I can't go in there. So this kind of feels like that. It's the movie equivalent of an impossible maze. It doesn't really care that you won't follow it, or you don't know what timeline, or that it doesn't really make any sense. There are times where he'll kill a character and he'll be like, this isn't reality. And then he'll flash to something else and he'll be like, this is reality. And that character's alive, or that character's changed. One time he shoots himself in the head with no repercussions and then wakes up in another situation. It's just what is happening in this movie? And the thing is, the very beginning, to get to, because they have to they can't just start confusing the fuck out of you right away. So they have to get through dumb shit. And I have to tell you, the beginning of the film is written awfully, just god awful. Um, it's like forcing people to get to where they need to go, without any sort of nuance in how to get. Like, they didn't want to invest any time on giving you a plot that would actually describe. I think somebody saw Hypnotic and was like, I think I can double down on that, you know. So basically, Emile is. There's some stuff that opens like at the beginning of the movie, but the catalyst for this, when his life sort of starts to take a turn, is, and this is sort of spoilery, but I swear to God, this is at the beginning of the film. So like this is like first 10 maybe minutes of the film. Like they've done a little bit of a character introduction. He drank some orange juice. Uh, really important. He got his vitamin C in for the day. And then he's got this car, this Challenger? I don't know cars. I'm sorry. That he's working on, that he's repairing, and he's trying to figure out what the problem is with it. And these two cops stop at this store. He's got like a gas station-ish type store slash, mechanic. Those like old-timey things where it's like, it's a gas station. It's got a store to it, and it's got a mechanic shop. Like, it's got all three things on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. Kind of like that vibe. And the cops walk with him to see this other car. They're like, "Oh, is that a Challenger? Looks like it's leaking." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to find out where the leak is." And they pop the hood and they look at the hood and they're like, "Well, you wouldn't mind if we checked the rest of the car, right?" And he's like, I mean, I think the owners might care." And so they just like pop the trunk without a warrant, by the way, or anything, really, without any sort of, we have anything to go off of here. Nothing. They're just like, what the fuck is in the trunk? I don't know. Let's look at it. Maybe that'll help stop the leak. So they pop the trunk. There's a duffel bag. They open the duffel bag. There's a hand, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's a killer." And then they pull their guns out on this guy who has said, "This is not my car," and then the movie progresses in a really progressively dumb way. I just progressively twice because I can't really wrap my head around this. His lawyer is like, he has a lawyer that comes in and she basically immediately is like, "They've got you dead to rights." And which I'm like, "No, they don't. You're an awful attorney." Like, what is this? If anything, it's inadmissible. They didn't have a warrant. They had no purpose to open the trunk. So who on earth would convict this guy? Even if he can't prove, part of the thing is that he did it on a handshake deal, right? This car, supposedly he's doing this car based on some guys dropped it off and then they went to Mexico. It's a dumb thing. Like the film is perpetually stupid. But and I love that they're like, "Did they just walk to Mexico?" And he's like, "No, they took an Uber to Mexico." I'm like, even his answer is stupid. Like, his answer, it's like it's meant to make sense or something, but his answer is so dumb. I hate this movie. I just. And then he gets there, and this lawyer sucks. His lawyer is just abysmal. No one in this film can act, by the way. Everyone in this film is atrocious. I would not hire anybody other than Emile Hirsch to do anything else ever again. This would be a laundry list of people who do not need to be in films like this. They can go be in to-be films. I don't know how Emile Hirsch got stuck into this. I don't know who he owes money to that caused him to need to do this film, but he is way better than this film as an actor. he ends up at like a mental institution where they're like, because he's a vet. They drop things on you just like randomly throughout the film. They're like, "Oh, you're a vet, right? Didn't you have a mental breakdown a couple of years ago?" And he's like, "That was totally different." And I'm like, "Well, I think I can get you off on mental illness." I'm like, "You think you can get him off of killing a human?" by, by him being a military vet? What is the legal proceeding here? So they get him sentenced to this mental institution, but he doesn't even like really. He just kind of like casually walks in. There's like some other crazy lady that's like, "I'm Sally. Have you seen my son?" And she's like, and he's like, "Well, she seems normal." You know? I was like, "Well, this doesn't really seem like a facility that you would send somebody who just took a plea deal for murder." But okay. Uh, so he goes in and talks to the doctor who's like, "I think I can help you. And you need to take these pills and we'll be able to get you out." And he takes the pills and I think he actually gets out earlier. Like she's like, "I think I can get you out in like a year." And then he gets out in like a couple months because he's taking the pills, but he doesn't remember anything. Basically, he takes the pills and then like time happens. And then he's like, am I done? I'm done? That was, you said it was going to take. He doesn't remember anything basically from his entire time there. And then like the reality breaks and he doesn't know if he's dreaming or if he's in reality, and that's where you get the whole thing. Is this weird medication that he's taking? Because they have to get him someplace where he's taking this medication that's flaring up whatever his problems are, where he doesn't know what's real and what's not. And that becomes the film. But my God, this film is stupid. And then it becomes really confusing and not a whole lot of sense. Like his girlfriend all of a sudden is like doing meth like later on in the film. Just like she seems really nice. And then like in one of the flashes, all of a sudden she's like a meth addict. You're just like, what is this film? What is this film? Um yeah, I hate this movie. I do. I aggressively hate this movie. However, I do like the audio description track. So whoever did the audio description, I think they did a really good job of trying desperately to make sense of this film and bring out every detail that they could possibly bring out. I think it is well cast. Uh, it's a well cast thing. It's maybe got a little bit of the audio ducking going on, maybe just like a little bit, a little bit. I'll mention it a little bit. It does sound like there's a little bit of audio ducking. Like maybe the mix is not A plus. I'll give it like a B. It wasn't too bad, but it wasn't. I've heard aggressively where the balance has been so incorrect. Uh, so it's mostly really solid. And for a film of this size, I probably would have been the guy in the mixing room being like, "What is my life? What am I doing here? What is this movie?" I think this was one of the worst films I've seen this year. And I would like to apologize to Emile Hirsch. If I had been an Oscar voter, I would have voted for you for Into the Wild. And if I could have campaigned for you, I would have. I'm so sorry that your career has led to this film. I think the world owes you an apology. This film is terrible. It is beneath you. This is easily one of the worst films of the year. I'm giving it a D minus. Stream of Consciousness gets a B minus. Please stay away from this film. I know you're curious now about the audio description track, and I appreciate the fact that the audio description team showed up. They should show up for every single film, regardless of how stupid it is, because you know what? It's my opinion. There might be somebody out there that watches Stream of Consciousness and likes mazes that you can't get out of. And they're like, "Oh my God, I love the fact. Do you know what it's about?" I have no idea, but I loved it. You know, maybe that's their thing. I don't know. But I hate this movie. So, that was easy. D minus. I want to give it an F, but it's got Emile Hirsch. So, if you're wondering what is the thing that kept me from failing the movie, Emile Hirsch. He is he's trying. He just has no material. This film is just not, and he has to play so many different like his character is just odd. It's a very odd character for him, but I feel so bad for him. I'm not failing this movie. Um, Poor guy. Poor guy. Can we start a GoFundMe or something? I don't know. Something needs to happen for this guy's career. Anyway, Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.